Hey, you guys, welcome to How to Use Dubsado as a Photographer. I am your presenter, Taylor Torres, and I am so pumped to spend the next 30 minutes with you as we dive into all the things that Dubsado has to offer your photography business, not only to help you elevate and streamline and create a super luxe client experience on the client-facing side, but also to help you really maximize and utilize Dubsado to its fullest when it comes to your back-end operations and how you manage your business day to day. I can guarantee that you want to spend more time doing what you love in your business, like shooting and meeting new clients and editing and all of the creative, fun parts of the business, and less time on the repetitive, pesky tasks and the client management and the emailing and the invoicing. That is where Dubsado comes in to do the heavy lifting, and we're going to dive in how to implement it today and share all of my resources to make sure that you guys get Dubsado and use it to its fullest. Now, before we begin, let me just share a little bit about who I am and why I'm qualified to even be here with you today. I'm Taylor. I am a systems consultant, client experience expert, podcast host, and founder of Chanel and Lee. I am essentially a workflow guru, have been prescribed as the Jesus of Dubsado. Don't come for me with that one. But I am a pro photographer turned Dubsado certified specialist, which means I get you, I get your business. I was a photographer for 10 years. I still shoot, but I stepped away from portraits and weddings quite a long time ago. And my career led me to become a virtual assistant for other photographers. I really loved the operations and the back end of the business running, and my creative energy was completely depleted at one point in my life, which led me to discover Dubsado and really dive into how it can support not just photographers, but small businesses in general. I took that road and I became a Dubsado certified specialist, and I have served hundreds and hundreds of entrepreneurs at all different levels in all different industries with setting up systems, setting up Dubsado programs, educating, launch support, tech installation. I basically take all the headache out of your tech and automations. And today I'm bringing you all of this knowledge I have, not only of Dubsado, but with my experience in the photography industry, what works on the back end, what you need for an elevated experience. And I'm going to make sure you walk away feeling really confident implementing Dubsado into your business. Let's dive in. Now, if you have any questions before I start going through the slides, if you have questions today, you can feel free to drop them in the chat at the end. I will be here and will be answering. So I want to make sure you walk away with all of the information, but sit tight. There's a lot of details I'm going to be diving in for the next 30 minutes. So grab a notepad, turn off your phone or silence it, whatever you need, grab a beverage and make sure you are locked in. We are covering, first of all, why client experience matters in your photography business. I think as creatives, we can get ahead of ourselves, right? We go straight into, I know I need this thing, or I know I should probably do this, or you want to implement all of the things, but we really need to get back to the core of why is client experience so important? And why do we need to implement all of these features to make sure that we're really providing that client experience? How we can implement Dubsado into each phase of our business. So we're going to start from the very beginning inquiry booking phase, and we're going to go through pre-shoot, pre-wedding, post-shoot. We're going to tackle each phase of your client process to make sure you can get some ideas of all the ways you can utilize Dubsado from start to finish. And we're going to touch on some ways to elevate your communication and really weave this luxury into your back-end ops within Dubsado. Now, hands raised if you started a photography business because you love photography. I feel like that's a no-brainer. Drop in the chat and be like, yes, I started photography because I love photography. I can guarantee the majority of you did not start a photography business because you are a business wizard. No, most of us start a business because we're passionate about something, or we have a skill, or we want to offer a solution to a problem, and we learn all of the business things along the way. But here's the thing. Sometimes we really need to stay in our zone of genius if we want our business to be successful. And that means spending less time on the small things, especially when there are systems that can support us in those things. So we can spend more time doing the things that run the business. Again, finding clients, creating amazing work, marketing ourselves, building connections. Dubsado is going to allow us to not have to worry about all of the business wizardry, right? They already did that for us. So we can get back to just doing what we love in our business. No matter if you are a brand new photographer or you're a seasoned photographer who realized you really need to get your stuff in order, This lesson today is going to give each of you a little something. So let's be honest, running a photography business is a lot of freaking work. You started the business because you love photography and you realized, wow, there is a lot that has to happen to keep this business running and to keep getting clients. You are answering leads, you're sending contracts and invoices, you're making sure every client has everything they need when it comes to their shoot or their wedding day. You've got schedules, you've got mothers of the brides, and let's not even get into everything that is marketing with reels and newsletters. I mean, it's exhausting just saying it out loud, right? The list could go on. And let's be honest as well, you guys all probably have other responsibilities. Maybe you're a mom, maybe you have a partner, you're married, you have another job, you have a million and one other things that require your attention, and a million and other one reasons why you need Dubsado to help you run your business. Again, we are going to figure out how Dubsado can not only do the heavy lifting and hold your hand throughout the process, but make sure the client experience starts from the moment the client lands on your website and continues all the way through, even a year after their wedding date when they get that happy anniversary email. This stat right here alone is going to blow your mind, okay? As I mentioned earlier, I've worked in the photography industry for a decade in my own business, photography business, but also helping countless other photographers. And on average, I see that there are about 15 client interactions that happen before you even photograph the client. Now that's more on average for a photo session. If we're talking weddings or events, we're going to probably double this, 20 to 30 interactions before the event is scheduled. So let's look at that. Let's say you're working with 25 clients a year, maybe 25 sessions, maybe 25 weddings. That's 375 interactions just in the onboarding alone. That doesn't include delivery, gallery emails, in-person sales, album sales. I mean, it's actually insane. And that doesn't include all of the random texts and thoughts and calls you may get from your clients throughout the way. Imagine the time, the energy, the creativity you'd be saving if even half of those interactions were automated, okay? That is the goal. Now, why is there a pressure on client experience in your photography business, right? We usually think in a creative business, it's the photos that matter. And yes, the photos freaking matter. We want to make sure our art is chef's kiss, but we also should make sure our client experience is chef kiss as well. And here's why. Number one, brand loyalty. When you have a top tier client experience, your people that work with you, and maybe even people who haven't worked with you, but just people who support you, whether potential leads or friends of your clients or peers in the space or networking, whatever it may be, the better client experience you have and all around presence, the more loyalty your brand will have, which is going to lead to client retention and referrals. When you have a tip-top client experience from start to finish, your clients want to come back. It's like going to a restaurant, and let's say you go to a 5-star Michelin restaurant and you have a fantastic experience. Chances are you want to go back the next time you're celebrating a birthday or you have an anniversary dinner or you're doing something fun. You want to go back to that restaurant. We want to make sure our clients return to us, especially as photographers. If you're a portrait photographer or work in that capacity, people get photos taken a lot. It is 2023. We want photos out the wazoo, and we want those clients to come back. And maybe even for our wedding clients, having them retain their memories with us every year as couple photos when their anniversary comes along, or gifts in our album sales process or our product process. Having that client experience is going to make those people come back to you time and time again. And also referrals. I swear to God, this is the lifeblood of our business, and that is referrals. We want people to say our name, especially as photographers. We want every client that works with us to tell their friends, tell their family. Anytime someone asks on Facebook, anyone have a photography recommendation, we want them to drop our name. And so the better our client experience from start to finish, the more that people are going to recommend us and put our name in a room of opportunity when it comes up. And so I want to make sure that you guys are establishing loyalty. You have amazing 100% client retention, and you are getting referrals left and right. And it's going to start right here in Dubsado. Now, when we're implementing Dubsado, this conversation, I'm going to break it down into 3 phases. And this is what I usually do in the framework of building workflows. And we're not really talking workflow strategy today or workflow framework. We are going to discuss workflows, but this is a really great way to approach Dubsado of looking at it in your phases, because then we're able to break down all of the implementation, all of the workflows, all of the forms and moving parts. We're going to keep it slim today since I only have 30 minutes, but I'm going to make sure you walk away at least with an action plan of things to implement and then things to continue to work on. So we're going to start with inquiry. This is going to look like the first contact inquiry phase all the way through booking when the client first sends a payment. So they book the shoot, they book the wedding, they pay the retainer. Then we're going to talk about pre-shoot, pre-event. So if you're a wedding photographer, all of the information leading up to the wedding day. If you are a portrait photographer, all of the information leading up to the shoot. And then we're going to talk about post-shoot. So what happens after the shoot or the wedding is over, what communication, what touch points, etc. First, starting with our inquiry process. Again, this is our new lead to our booking phase. This is your first official point of contact with your potential clients. Now, yes, they probably saw you on Instagram. They maybe DM'd you. They've seen your content. Maybe they connected with you on another platform. But this is the first time you know that this is a hot lead. They have submitted a contact form and they are ready to begin the process of either decision making or exploring what you have to offer them. Your inquiry process should really focus on a couple of key things. We want ease of contact. We want to make this point of entry super easy for the client. They should not have to, or lead, I should say, they should not have to jump through hoops to contact you. We want swift communication. Honestly, as much as we don't want to admit it, unless you are in a super high luxury market, photography is competitive. There are a lot of options out there. And as you know, many consumers are shopping around. They are attracted to different styles. Maybe they want to shop budgets. Maybe their family members are offering to pay for this. And so they're having to fit within the realm of that budget. There's a lot of reasons why our clients shop around. It is not a bad thing. We just want to make sure we're beating the competition. So we want to be swift. We want to make sure our details are clear, AKA availability, pricing, investment, process. And we want to make the booking process streamlined and polished AF. We want it to be quick, seamless, and beautiful when they go to book. So let's break a couple of these down. First, let's look at swift and clear, streamlined automation. Let me preface this by saying, if you are new to Dubsado and you are like, I have never used a CRM, I have no idea what automation is, I want you to just take a breath and not get overwhelmed with workflows yet, because workflows don't have to be complicated. And to be honest, I might be doing myself a disservice as a setup expert. You don't have to use workflows right away. You can utilize the system manually and still take yourself from here to the next level, even if you don't use automation yet. It's okay if we have to take it by baby steps. But I do want to show you for either your future self when you go to build the workflows, or for those of you who are listening who are like, yeah, I'm already using Dubsado and I know I need workflows. This is what we can do in a workflow. When I talked about being swift and being clear, actionable in this lead process, a lot of that is going to happen with automation, right? Once again, we have families, we have jobs, we have responsibilities. You probably don't have the time for every lead at the drop of a hat to respond to a form and send pricing and book a call right away. It might be 10 o'clock when someone contacts you on your website. Are you going to send them an email right at 10 o'clock? Probably not. But if we have automation, we can allow it to do it for us. Like I said, your clients are reaching out to more than one photographer. So having some automation in place, even if it's one or two actions, will keep you staying ahead of the competition, at least even just a response, right? How many times have you guys tried to hire an expert or a service provider? Maybe you contacted a few people, right? I remember one time I contacted like 3 party planners for my son's birthday. The first one didn't even respond with pricing yet. They just said, hey, we got your form. We're so excited to chat. We'll send you more details within 24 hours. And I was like, love that, because I didn't even hear from the other ones yet. So just the fact that there was an automated touch point made me as the consumer feel noticed and also know that my contact form went through. So I want to keep that in mind. This is also going to allow automation to keep us on track when it comes to follow-ups and making sure all of the important things in this lead process are touched on. Now, I want you to take a note of this screenshot here. This is an actual workflow I have built out for a photo inquiry. Now, this particular one, there's a lot of things happening here, but I want to point out the most important things, right? First of all, when we initiate our workflow, we can add something here, a communication at the very tippity top to send as soon as the workflow starts. For example, sending an appointment scheduler, perhaps if you are wanting the client to get on a consult call. Or if you're going straight into sending your pricing on a proposal, we can automate the proposal to send either after an appointment is ended or after a workflow has started, if you see here. The great thing that I love about this as well is, like I said, with any kind of follow-ups, whether it's follow-ups on, hey, I noticed you haven't booked a call or just wanted to check in, or we can take it even further with automations for items that aren't completed. So in this example we see here, we're sending this proposal again. If it hasn't been completed in 7 days, we're staying persistent on this communication. So this is the power of automation. Obviously, this is a more thought out, detailed workflow, but you can keep it simple. One email, even in an automation, can make all the difference. Let's look at ease of contact. We want the point of entry to be smooth and simple. And that can happen with Dubsado's lead capture forms or schedulers if you're going the route of a call first. Most photographers I know want to use a lead capture. You want to get the details, the date, the couple, or the client, all of the info that they're looking for. And that's going to happen on a really nice, clear form. Also, guys, this is your chance to vet the lead. I see a lot of photography lead capture forms, very slim. And yes, we want to keep the point of entry fast, but you want to make sure that you're vetting the lead. Do you even have the availability to work with them? Do you even offer what they're looking for, right? Are you even available on their date? Getting all of those details at the very first contact is going to be so helpful for you. We can also attach, if you see here, this is a screenshot from the form settings within a lead capture. We can attach a default workflow here. What this means is as soon as our lead capture is submitted, the default workflow will begin. So if we go back to the previous screen, if we had this default workflow attached, this automation will begin as soon as the contact form is submitted. So if our first item here was to send an email saying, thanks for reaching out, can't wait to chat, that can happen automatically from these form settings. This is my favorite way to just completely automate the lead process. You can also offer your clients to book consult calls if optional, to make it really easy for them to book on their end with an automated scheduler. So no more going back and forth of like, oh, what time are you available? Can you chat today, Monday through Friday? We want to use Dubsado's schedulers, very similar to like a Calendly situation, to just make that booking process smooth and easy. So we're not going back and forth on availability. Polished booking proposals. This is probably my favorite part of Dubsado. I have a fine art background, and so I absolutely love the design. And we all know, round of applause for the Dubs. Dubsado released their new form builder last year. And so the possibilities with your proposal are honestly endless. This is the number one thing I see clients I work with missing out in their photography process is a polished proposal. Your clients are reaching out to more than one photographer. I'm going to hit this nail on the head again. The automation ensures that we're swift, but the proposal itself will make sure that we are sending something that is beautifully presented and really capturing all the information they need to know. This is our chance to wow them, especially if we're not doing some kind of consult call or discovery call. If you're just sending a proposal and pricing via a contact form, we want this to sell. We want to make sure we have our process, we have our packages, we have some beautiful imagery. And lastly, we want to make sure it is streamlined to a T, right? Again, going back to consumer and sales psychology, how frustrating is it when you're trying to pay for something and you have to jump through a million hoops? You have to go to this page and sign this, and then go to this link and pay that. And then there is an error, and then it's this. Then you have to go to the email, and you're just like, wow, this is crazy, right? What if you sent an email to your client saying, hey, I'm available. I would love to work with you. Click this link to book. And they opened a page to this. Now tell me, oops, let's zoom in here, guys. Tell me this wouldn't be wowzers. We have the details, we have the images, we have the process, the testimonial, we have the collections they can select. I mean, it's actually Beautiful. And then if we want to take it a step further, we can attach our contract and invoice to the top, and they can book us one URL, 5 minutes, maybe even less, depending on how quickly they read. I mean, it truly will set you apart from the competition. Again, because we're being swift and we're being clear and we're making it so easy for the client to pay us. So we have the streamlined inquiry process. We've been swift, we've communicated clearly, we've given them an easy point of entry, and we've created a streamlined, beautiful form that has allowed them to book us. Now we're going to go into our intake to session process. This is going to be everything happening before you photograph the client or the wedding. Now, this role is all about informing, prepping, and serving. We want to make sure our clients have absolutely everything they need to ensure they have a great shoot, a great wedding, and that we have everything we need to support them and make sure we can do our job as a photographer well. What we want to mention in this process is swift onboarding. We want to make sure the clients, as soon as they pay, they're getting something from us, right? We want to make sure it always feels good when you are a consumer and you pay for something and you immediately get something. It's like a dopamine hit, right? We get an email, we get a congrats, it's official, here's this, pop the champagne. We want something swift with the next steps. We want clear communication and actionable information. What do they need to do? Where should they do it? How can they do it? What's the timeline? And we want to make sure all of this is really easy to use for them. Is it easy to schedule? Is it easy to gather information? Again, client experience is all about staying ahead of the client, but making it super simple. We want it to be easy to work with us. The easier it is to work with us, the better results we're going to get. And lastly, we want to make sure that we're timely. This is going to be for reminders, for invoicing, for deadlines. We need to be timely on our end because, let's be honest, we don't have the brain capacity to check up and follow up with 18 different invoice due dates. Why do that when Dubsado does it for you, right? So let's break it down. Swift onboarding. Again, this is going to look at our automation, right? Because if a client books you, let's say again, they decide at 10 o'clock on a Saturday night, they've popped a glass of champagne, they've popped a bottle of champagne. They're sitting together and decide, let's book our wedding photographer. We're so excited. They go to book you, and obviously you're asleep, you're relaxing, it's late, different time zone, whatever it is. The next morning you wake up and you realize, oh, let me go ahead and send over the email with all the next steps. We don't need to do that. With automation, we can have a workflow begin as soon as the client makes a payment, submits a contract, or whatever other actions we subscribe to in our workflow. So what happens immediately after someone books us will definitely set the tone of the service. If we're excited, if we're timely, if we're on our P's and Q's, the client's going to be excited as well. And that professionalism, that organization is going to show in the process. So with this automation before the wedding or before the session, we can ensure that every touch point, every detail, every form, all of the moving parts are automated so we aren't manually managing the projects. Again, if we go back to even if you have 15 weddings a year, 15 weddings, that's a lot of communication before a wedding. Or if you have 30 shoots, holy crap, that's a lot of shoots. And if you do both, forget about it, right? Having the automation with all of these communications already in place, ready to go, allows you to just be able to kind of bird's eye view manage everything. You can see what's on track, what hasn't gone through. If things need to change, we'll worry about it later when it comes to it. But for the most part, everything can be automated. Now, if you look at this screenshot here, and by the way, guys, these are like free workflows because I'm essentially showing you the exact workflow I would use in this situation. Hint, hint, screenshot this, okay, wink. This workflow here is an example of what I would use for a wedding. Now, obviously, if you are just a portrait photographer, you just do sessions or commercials or something else, it would look a little different, but similar process, right? We can have questionnaires being sent. I love doing an intake form, not just for weddings, but also for portrait photographers, or commercial or brand photographers, right? Any kind of details you want to capture about the client, the couple, the family, etc. Any sessions or other appointments that need to be booked throughout the process. And then we can start looking at timeframes before the project date, before the shoot, before the wedding, right? Sending resources so many days or weeks before, sending our timeline questionnaire or prep questionnaire to get all the details situated, making sure that if they don't complete something that they're getting an email reminder about it, right? If this isn't complete, send an email. To-dos for us, if there's any tasks within the workflow we want to time out depending on what the client's completed. So in this example, create a to-do to complete timeline immediately after the questionnaire is submitted. And then, of course, all of our items leading up to the date of the shoot or the event, such as a week before, 30 days before, one day after. It allows us to make sure we are using all of our touch points available to us and that we're staying consistent with our communication with the client. Even if we are mentally checked out, we're on vacation in Bali, I don't know what you're up to, your business can still run and run well even when you're not in the business. We also want to look at ease of use. So gathering information is so crucial for a photographer, not just sending information to the client, but also getting information from them as well. So when I work with photographers, a lot of us are sending forms, we're sending guides. We need to get information, but we also want to share it, right? I've seen things like prep guides for session, what to wear, inspo. I've seen investment and welcome guides sent on the booking portion, right? How you work, what your investments are, what they can expect. I've seen welcome guides kind of initiating the onboarding process and all the details. Lots of questionnaires are going back and forth. We have timeline questionnaires, details, coupled questionnaires. If you are shooting maybe a brand, you need like a brand questionnaire. Lots of forms. What I love about Dubsado is that they give us the ease of forms, allowing us to send forms within the workflow. But if you're not using workflows, how I mentioned earlier, if you're a newbie to all of this and you're like, I'm going to be so overwhelmed, you don't have to use a workflow to send these forms. We can have these forms created and send them. And we can also use PDFs, which is one of my favorite things as well. You can upload PDFs directly to your questionnaires area. So if you have a beautifully PDF designed in Canva or InDesign or Photoshop and you want to put it into Dubsado to utilize it, we can. And we want timely reminders. We do not have the time to chase down forms or chase down invoices. We want to get paid and we want to make sure that we're doing our job well. Having the system do that for us. I absolutely love Dubsado's payment plans because it allows us to automate the entire invoice. So here's an example of a payment plan I most commonly see for photographers set up as a 50-50. First due date, 0 days after the contract signed, 50%, or this could be like a 30/70 or a flat rate. Second payment due 30 days before the project starts, the second half of our payment. And I have 3 reminders set up. I have a reminder 7 days before it goes out, the day it goes out, and a day after it's due. These can be completely modified to your needs. You can add 30 reminders if you wanted to. There's so many ways to automate this part. And also for the 4 reminders, I showed you that in the workflow in a couple slides ago, but there's so many ways to make sure that we're staying persistent with the client on those important deadlines. And lastly, we're looking at post-shoot, post-event, delivery, milestones, editing, yay, wow factor, feedback. This part is so often skipped on. And there's so many photographers I work with who are like, man, I just get to the shoot and I edit and I'm done. Like I don't have any more energy. That's why we need this system set up. That's why we need the automation in Dubsado to do this part for you. So that way you can continue serving the client even after you've delivered or before you've delivered, right? So after the shoot, we have that small period before delivery where we do want to make sure the client knows what's happening next, what details, when can they expect gallery or images, or if you do sales, when can they expect that process to begin? And then we have all of the post-delivery communication, like milestones, right? How we're kind of surprising and delighting them. Are we requesting feedback? Are we upselling them? Maybe a couple of weeks or months after their shoot or their wedding, we want to upsell them on albums or another shoot. Maybe we have a referral program we want them to share with their family and friends. And also just adding in some really high quality touch points far beyond the service is over. Example A, wedding anniversary. Hello, having an email automated on their first anniversary if it's a wedding client. If it's a brand photographer, if you're a brand photographer or, another kind of milestone photographer, then you could have, a congrats or an anniversary email. You can also just have emails months after just checking in. How are things? How is life? Those small touch points communication wise can really just elevate that brand loyalty once again. All in all, though, this post-shoot or event process should include a continued service-focused experience. So the service has not ended. Yes, you've done your main job, which is shoot and or deliver the photos, but we're still serving the client beyond this. We want to make sure we have detailed gallery information here. Yes, I know you told them they get so many images on a link so many days after their session in the contract, but that was months ago, maybe even a year ago, right? We want to kindly refresh their memory on when they can expect all of the details, what the process looks like for imagery or galleries or buying products. And we want to make sure that we're utilizing Dubsado for our own internal operations, right? Feedback, marketing, data. Let's talk about that. So touch points beyond the shoot. Again, we're starting with another workflow here, screenshot, wink, wink. We want to continue serving the clients after the shoot because there are still opportunities here to not only extend the experience, but to continue to up level it. So if there was a small snag somewhere along the way, or there was an altercation, or maybe there was some tension between you and the client, this is still your chance to continue to serve them and really up level the experience. Or if you had a fantastic experience the whole way, this is your chance just to be like cherry on top, right? This is also where we get to automate additional communication, all those upsells, refer a friend, anniversary, etc. So in this post workflow, you can see I've added some items here like a day after email, yay, you're married, or if it's a shoot, we had so much fun yesterday, this was so exciting. To-dos for you to send sneak peeks, right? To-dos for you to send gallery. Now, some photographers will send gallery links in Dubsado. If you're using something like Pixieset or PicTime, those are great systems to continue sending galleries in because they have all the password functionality and sales automation. But you can add to-dos in here to just remind you, hey, it's been 48 hours since this shoot. It's time to send something. Utilizing feedback forms. And then, of course, sending an email 1 year. Sorry, this says day. It should say 1 year after end date, not the day after. You get the idea. Now, internal operations as well. There's so many small little features in Dubsado, and these are just a few, but there's a ton of ways we can utilize it for just managing data, keeping track, taking notes. A few of those things I love specifically for the photography industry is going to be feedback forms. I think this is so underutilized. Having a feedback form, again, that you send here in the post workflow, or if you don't have a workflow, you're just sending this sometime after you've delivered all of their images. But having a feedback form to offer to get some feedback on your business, to ask for constructive criticism, to ask what you could have done better, and also to gather testimonials. Social proof is so huge and can really help you gauge how you're doing in your business. So we can use that in Dubsado. Also having tasks and to-dos for marketing or items related to Dubsado. Now I will say this should not replace project management system like ClickUp or Asana or Trello. Those systems are still very robust for project management, but Dubsado does offer more of a basic task structure that is really helpful when it comes to workflows and any tasks or to-dos related to the workflow or specific process in Dubsado, like customizing the proposal before we send it, or maybe a reminder to create the timeline after they've submitted the timeline form, etc. And also the project pipeline. Again, as photographers, you have so many clients at many different phases. You have people who are new and then they're booking and then you're waiting on their response. And then you have people who are in the planning process and the post process and waiting for editing. That project status, I really like to think of it as a project pipeline. If you come from HoneyBook, you know they use that terminology, but I love the project status area because it really allows us to have a bird's eye view on where everyone is at, what's going on. And all of these can be customized as well within your projects page. I always like to kind of use a similar format for lead process, like new, consult, proposal sent, followed up, and all of my job categories. So where the clients are at, if they're a booked wedding, a booked shoot, a booked engagement session, and then having separate statuses for editing, delivered, post communication, what have you. Of course, this is just 3 of the many, many offerings inside of Dubsado, but I want you to realize that there are ways in Dubsado not just to elevate the client-facing side, but just to relieve your pressure as well and help you have better reins on your overall business structure. This about summarizes everything. Oh, I had a summary page here, I thought, but I don't know where it went. let's stay connected. I want to just let you guys know, again, I'm Taylor. I offer a ton of resources for you as well. Stay connected with me. You can find me on Chanel and Lee on Instagram, my website. You can shoot me an email. I would absolutely love to chat with you more about how Dubsado can work for you if you have specific questions. And I cannot wait to stay connected with you. If you have questions, now would be a great time to drop them in the chat.